Today we're joined by Tanya Hughes, a retired elite U.S. high jumper who participated in the '92 Barcelona Olympic Games. She's transitioned from elite competition to becoming a passionate advocate for athletes, focusing on something more often overlooked than it should be: business education. With NIL laws continuing to evolve, the need for solid business education is more important than ever. Ms. Hughes is empowering the next generation to think beyond their athletic careers and take charge of their futures. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, oh my goodness. So first of all, it's a different feeling to be in the presence of an Olympian.
I can say the same. You're a lawyer.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, we all had to work hard to get to accomplishing those goals, right?
So true. So true.
So Esquire,
yes.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. So your background is also in finance, in addition to. So what made you realize that you should or wanted to be involved in this space?
Well, I have over 25 years of financial services experience, having worked for a number of major companies. I started my career with IBM and worked with banks and payment systems and risk management, all of those things, and money movement. And at the end of the day, now having my own business as an entrepreneur, but also working with a lot of other folks in business from a corporate perspective, public sector as well as nonprofit and private sectors. Having an understanding of business is how the world works, right? And so working with athletes especially is something I'm very passionate about. Having been one, to see so many athletes, really you see the stories where they were in their heyday, they did well and did great and may have made money, and then they don't have anything later in life. And some of them are often broke or really struggling. And so it's definitely a passion of mine to help people with their encore, life after sports, and really putting themselves in position to leverage the brands that they've created when they were competing. There's still a lot of value to that. And it's a way that they can have a livelihood and as well give back to their communities in which that supported them along their journey.
Yes. And for our younger athletes, how do you engage them? How do you get them excited about these things? Maybe a lot of them are running from topics about finance. How do you get
one
their
of the
attention?
things is I'm a mom of two, and both of my kids were student athletes. I was a student athlete. Both of my children, I had a daughter that played Division I basketball and a son that played Division I football. And so they saw their mom as a businesswoman, but also as they went into their respective careers as student athletes, especially my son, the laws for NIL came into being while he was still actively competing. And so it's a personal story in which about a year ago, this time, he received a 1099 as it related to NIL sponsorship that he'd received his last year of college. And with it came a tax implication. Me having a business background understood what that meant. Him getting a 1099 means he was self-employed. Right. In essence. And so it really lit a fire in me, because even though I had that background, and even though our kids who participate in those areas of NIL are supposed to get financial literacy and business basics, it was obvious that they're overwhelmed to the point that they really weren't letting those things sink in. And I really stepped up and helped guide my son through some of these processes prior to his last year, and trying to work with different NIL agents, looking at contracts, understanding what were some of the implications as far as marketing and his brand and finance and setting money aside. So it lit a fire in me, which is why I'm so passionate about not just the student athlete, but their parents. And helping them understand what the implications are.
Which is what I was going to, is that you are exceptional in many ways, but we know that many parents don't have that foundation, would not necessarily go to the next set of questions or study those implications by reading the contracts once they saw a 1099. Because just going back to what you said, many of the kids who are just getting into the space think that this is free money, almost like a grant. And so just want to emphasize the fact that this is independent, you are an independent contractor for whoever you're making the deal with. And you study those contracts, and now your educational seminars, are they with the parents, or tell me about how you are working to educate?
Right now, I put a major focus on parent education. And oftentimes, I've been approached by parents who are trying to help their kids who are in college. A lot of them are in college. I've had a couple of high school parents, but they're typically in college. Their kid is overwhelmed. And a lot of time the parent is trying to help them meet the obligations. So for example, I have a client, their son is at a major university, and just trying to get them to, they may not like social media or posting, right? They may have to have certain commitments. They may need to make sure that things are done in appearance, getting haircuts, or, with some of my female athletes, right? Getting their nails and their hair done to make sure that they're ready to be able to do whatever the commitment is, whether it's a photo shoot, it's an appearance, or it's a posting on content. And so sometimes these parents are trying to help their kids meet the demands because they're student athletes, but they're also now CEOs.
Yes.
So that shift in mindset is what I'm working on with their children, who are now adults, but also with the parents, helping them to see that they're really like a general manager and helping their kid and guide them. And so the education that many universities and schools are providing to the kids, it may not be sinking in. So I'm focusing on the parents with some of the basics. So that they can at least be equipped to have the right questions to ask, but also help maneuver this landscape because it's complex and changing. So if it's that for you as an adult, imagine the impact it's having on your kids. So how do I help them collaborate with their student athlete through this new landscape, which can be a great opportunity, and in that education and awareness, trying to make sure that it doesn't become a curse, a blessing and a curse, right?
And my last question is there anything that you wish you had known sooner?
Oh, wow. Some of the things about business, some of the basics, when we look at strategy as a business person, everybody needs to have a strategy. Well, as you're in school, things to think about is how do you solve problems? Problem solving, critical thinking. Those are skills that play into strategy later. Communication. How you go about speaking and how you show up really lends itself to your personal brand.
Yes.
Right? Building relationships, networking are things we talk about in business, but you're building relationships all the way along as you are meeting people and engaging during your sport career and academic career within school. So all of these things are all important, not just for the student athlete, but for every student, right? As you're moving and matriculating through school, these things are going to serve you later in life, and to be able to take advantage and have that perspective that what I do now will matter later.
Yes.
I think that that's going to be really important. And probably the last thing, I had a boss tell me at one point, activity does not equal results.
Yes.
And so oftentimes we don't prioritize appropriately. And so know that you can be doing a lot of things, but is it moving you towards the goals and accomplishing them with the results that you're looking for? So that would probably be one of the things that I wish I'd known sooner. Activity does not equal results, and be better in prioritizing.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing these valuable tips and so much to think about, and great points there. Appreciate that.
Well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to hopefully engaging with you and others later.
Yes. Such an inspiring conversation, and we are reminded that success is about more than what happens on the field. It's about being prepared for the opportunities life brings.